this is the Helpful Lockpicker here. In the video I have for you today is going over how to take apart one of your locks, decode the key pins, and be able to get a new code cut key made. What you're going to need is definitely a digital caliper so you can very accurately measure your key pins. What happens is every key pin comes to a different length. On this specific lock Kwikset that we'll be doing, it has a length 1 through 6. Each length is corresponded to a length on the key pin. A one cut key pin is 0.172 inches. So these digital calipers make it very, very easy to be able to decode them. Another thing you're going to need to do is have something that will hold your pins in place when you take your lock apart. I have a pinning tray up here and a pinning mat down here. All you need is something to hold them in place. If you want to do it yourself, you can take a piece of corrugated cardboard and peel it back and use the corrugations in between to separate out your pins. So some of the stuff that you may need are these two tools here just to help take the circlips off the back of these locks. It's just a little C-shaped clip. Then you may want to have a Sharpie so you can write down your codes as you go. Definitely recommend some tweezers because the pins are very easy to drop and lose. These are two different size plug followers. They are very helpful when you're taking the locks apart, but if you do not have any of these, a lot of people have gotten by with some wooden dowels, some AA and AAA batteries, anything that will fit in the lock and hold the driver pins in. I have a lock pick that I like to use. Sometimes it helps me reach the pins, and some locks you need a screwdriver to take them apart. So these are some of the basic materials that we're going to need to get started, and I'm going to get into more detail on this Kwikset lock specifically in just a moment. So the first thing we're going to need to do is have a way to get this lock open. The best way to do is get it open with the key. But if you do not have the correct key to this lock, I will put a link on the top here on how to shim the lock open. What you do is you use a key blank and a core shim, and you will shim through the back and you'll get the lock open. Also, I'll put up on the top here how to pick your first lock open. Either way, we're going to need to get this lock open to proceed. So what we're going to need to do is take the back piece off. There's about 3 very common ways they come. So in order to get the back piece off on this, there's a little retaining pin here that you have to depress, and then you just screw the back off and it will come right out. And then I'll put the pin in here, and there's a little spring you don't want to lose. Make sure you put everything away so you do not drop it. Another common way a lock comes, it has a little circlip on the back. It's this little C-shaped clip. You can use any tool really just to push it off. I use this pickle fork here and it works very well. And the third way the locks typically come is they have one where you need to remove a couple screws and then you can pull the back piece right off. So now that we have the back piece off, what we're going to need to do is get an appropriate size plug follower. We want to have one that has the right diameter that matches up with the back of the plug very nicely. You want it to have a nice snug fit. If you do not own one of these, you can use a wooden dowel, AA batteries, AAA batteries, anything that will fit. You can buy these pretty cheaply online. So what we're going to need to do now is just insert our key and turn it about 90 degrees. What I want you to visualize is at the top of the lock here, this is where the driver pins, and they're coming directly down. And now that we've turned the lock, the key pins are on this side at the top of the plug. So now that they're separated, we'll be able to push this out. The driver pins are under spring pressure, so we're going to want to take our plug follower and line it up directly with where the driver pins are. If I put it this way, they would shoot through and I would not be able to push it out. So what I like to do is orient the lock straight up like this so the key pins will not drop out as I remove the plug. So I'm going to align it perfectly with the driver pins, and then we just push it straight out. And now the driver pins are held in by the plug follower and the key pins are all in here. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to carefully remove the key, and I'll put the plug down somewhere safe. I have a pinning tray that holds it very nicely, and now we're going to get to the next step, which is decoding the lock. I'm going to take each key pin out of the plug here and put it in order 1 through 6. The key pins correlate with the key bow to tip. So this is the bow, this is the tip. So that's key pin 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So what we're going to do is just place them in the correct slot. So here's key pin 1, key pin 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now that we have our key pins out, we're going to be ready for the next step, which will be the decoding process. For this step, we're going to start actually measuring the key pins. So what you're going to need is your digital caliper, a pair of pinning tweezers, and a Sharpie. And also you're going to want your key bitting chart. So we're going to match up the length of each key pin with the chart, and we're going to write down each cut right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn on my digital caliper, and we're going to start with key pin 1 and go all the way up to key pin 5. So starting with key pin 1, we see that it is measuring 0.241. So we want to find the one that is the closest to that. So you can tell that a 4 cut is 0.241. So key pin 1, we're going to write down as a 4. Then we're going to be careful to put it right back in the correct slot, and we will move on to the next one. So progressing on to slot 2, we can see that it's reading 0.264, which is precisely a 5 cut. And now we will once again place that back, and we will just go down the line here. 0.170, that is closest to a 1 cut. So they do not always match up perfectly because they are manufacturing tolerances, but the key pins work very smoothly regardless. Number 4 is going to be 0.194, which is roughly a 2 cut. And then number 5, 0.263, which is roughly a 5 cut. So what we have done now is we have decoded our lock. We have a 4, 5, 1, 2, 5. The significance of this is now that we can go to any locksmith and tell them that we have a Kwikset key, the KW1. You always need to know what blank you're going to need. And then you're going to go to them and say, I need a KW1 cut 45125. And with their code machine, they can cut you a precise factory key in just a minute, and you will be able to have a new key to your lock. This has a few great implications. This is essentially the password to your lock. So if you ever get locked out of your house and you have this written down, you will be able to call a locksmith, and they will not need to drill your door, try to pick it, or anything else. They can just make you a key directly to your lock, and you'll be able to get in very quickly. Also, if you have a key that's starting to stick, sometimes it will just get worn down and not work very well. You will be able to get a brand new key made that will work very well to your lock. So please always protect this information. Do not share it, but keep it safe, so if you ever need it, you'll be able to get a new key made. Now that we have successfully decoded our lock, and now we know how to get a key made, let's put our lock back together very quickly. So we got to remember we have the key pins 1 through 5, and it goes bow to tip. So this is where key pin 1 goes, right in the front of the lock. So I'm going to take my tweezers here, and I'm just going to place the key pin directly in. Now some locks come with a key pin with a tip on the bottom and a flat part on the top. The flat part goes towards the top here, and the tip goes down. On Kwikset, they come rounded on both ends. Now once you have all your key pins in, what you want to do is assure that they are all in the right order. So you're going to take your key and just insert it. You want to make sure that they're all sitting flush across the top, which they are here. The next step is going to be taking our lock here and making sure the plug follower is aligned with the flat part where the driver pins are. And then we are going to take our plug, we're going to insert it at a 90-degree angle, and we're just going to push it through. Now at this point, you do not want to try to pull out the key because it's not secure, and the cylinder will start to pull out, and all these driver pins are under spring pressure, and they will shoot everywhere and you will lose them. So we do not want that. So I'm going to just put my securing clip right on the back here, and every lock has a different way of doing it, but they're all pretty self-explanatory. I showed you 3 different ways to take them off when we first started this video, and it is just in the opposite from what I showed you earlier. So now that this is secure, what I can do is make sure the key's working, and now you can pull the key out and your lock is back together. Now you can reinstall this back into your door or wherever you got it from, and you have your decoded lock here. Ours was a Kwikset KW1 keyway, code 45125. Just keep an eye on this, write it down, do not share it, and know that if you ever lose your key, you'll be able to get a key made very easily. Thank you guys so much for checking out this video. If you have any questions or suggestions, please leave them in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video and you'd like to see more like it, please subscribe. As always, thank you so much for checking out this video, and I hope you all have a great day. Thank you so much.